My brother got me a Mickey Mouse Polaroid camera for Christmas, and I'm obsessed with it. Also, Carol Ann made me an Every Disney Movie Ever shirt for Christmas, and I'm also obsessed with that. Happy New Year! Welcome back to Every Disney Movie Ever. My name is Jess, and I'm watching Every Disney Movie Ever. This is the first episode of the REWATCH series. You might be asking yourself, why would you do a REWATCH series? You are still in the middle of watching all of them. Why would you start rewatching all of them? And I'm so happy you asked, because I will answer. I'm not rewatching all of them. That's silly. Why would I do that? I've already done it. But back when I started this series, I did more than one movie in a video, and I covered those by saying like 5 funny things about them. I did not cover them as I do now, which is in depth. Who worked on it? Who starred in it? What happened during production? My opinion, etc. And I think that's better, and I feel bad for the 14 Disney animated classics I didn't do justice to. And so, thus is born the REWATCH series. This REWATCH series will be from now until August, every other Wednesday. Once we hit August, I will have done the 14 animated classics I want to do, and then I will do the movies I have found, if I have found them, of movies I couldn't find. Does that make sense? I don't know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And then after that, if there's a movie I didn't cover in the way I cover movies now that you wish I would cover in the way I cover movies now,
by all means, request it.
Let's get started. First, on our REWATCH series, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a 1937 animated theatrical release. It is the first animated theatrical release from Walt Disney Studios. It is directed by David Hand, William Cottrell, Wilfred Jackson, Larry, Morey, Perce, Pearce, and Ben Sharpsteen. William, Larry, and Perce, this is their only directing credit. David, Wilfred, and Ben are best known for their Disney short work, as well as their future Disney work, including Fantasia and Bambi. Supervising animation was done by Albert Hurd. He had to approve literally all concept animations. There is no editor! It's a 1937 animated movie. They really only animated the stuff they needed. The music is by Frank Churchill, Paul Smith, and Lee Harline. Frank Churchill I covered in the video about Santa's Workshop. Paul Smith I covered in the video about Toy Tinkers. And Lee Harline I covered in the video about The Night Before Christmas. All links will be in the description. The film was written by Ted Sears, Richard Creedon, Otto Englander, Dick Rickard, Earl, Hurd, Merril, Damaris, Dorothy, and Blank and Webb Smith, all best known for their Disney work. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is based off of Snow White by the Brothers Grimm, tale number 53, released in 1812. Not to be confused with Snow White and Rose Red. Let's talk about the plot. The queen wants a baby, has her, and then dies. The king remarries a year later to a vain and wicked woman with a magic mirror who, once Snow White is old enough, says she's the fairest of them all. The queen grows to hate Snow White and orders the huntsman to kill her and bring her heart as proof. The huntsman can't do it and brings her the heart of a wild animal. Snow White discovers the dwarves and they take pity on her and let her stay as long as she keeps house and tell her to be careful at home alone. The queen discovers Snow White is alive and, using an old peddler disguise, sells her silk lace bodices so tight it makes her faint, but the dwarves discover her and revive her. The queen tries yet again by disguising herself as a comb seller and gives Snow White a poisoned comb. She brushes her hair and is off to sleep. The dwarves save her once again by removing the comb, and the mirror says once again, Snow White is the fairest of them all. In one final attempt, the queen disguises herself as a poor woman and brings a poisoned apple to Snow White. She takes a bite of the white, unpoisoned half, and Snow White takes a bite of the red, poisoned half. She falls into suspended animation, sleep, and the dwarves are unable to revive her. They put her in a glass casket. What's happening? The prince happens about the casket and falls for her. A little bit of necrophilia, it's fine. The dwarves let him have her, and as the servants are carrying her away, one of them loses his grip, and Snow White falls out, and the apple flies from her mouth, and she is revived. The prince declares his love to her, and they marry. The magic mirror says the fairest one of all is the prince's bride, and the queen goes to the wedding only to discover that it's Snow White. She's about to make a scene, but the prince orders that she dance in red-hot iron slippers until her death. The end. So there are some similarities and some differences between the original Grimm Fairy Tale and the movie, but one thing I'm happy they changed, or at least downplayed, was the necrophilia. The film stars Adriana Caselotti, Lucille Laverne, Roy Atwell, Pinsel Colvig, Otis Harlan, Scotty Matraw, Billy Gilbert, Eddie Collins, Harry Stockwell, Maroni Olson, and Stuart Buchanan. Adriana Caselotti plays Snow White, and she's best known for It's a Wonderful Life and The Wizard of Oz, both uncredited roles. Lucille Laverne plays Queen Grimhilda, Didn't know that was her name. And the witch, she's best known for A Tale of Two Cities, The White Rose, The Mighty Barnum, and Abraham Lincoln. Roy Atwell plays Doc, and he's best known for Souls for Sale, Grand Larceny, and The Fleet's Inn. Pinto Colby plays Sleepy and Grumpy, and I covered him in the video about Santa's Workshop. The link will be in the description. Otis Harlan plays Happy, and he's best known for Showboat, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Three Bad Men. Scotty Matraw plays Bashful, and he's best known for In Old Chicago, Haunted Island, Two Lovers, and The Arizona Cyclone. Billy Gilbert plays Sneezy, and he's best known for His Girl Friday, The Great Dictator, and Blockheads. Eddie Collins plays Dopey, and he's best known for The Bluebird, Charlie Chan in Honolulu, In Old Chicago, and Young Mr. Lincoln. Harry Stockwell plays the Prince, and he's best known for Here Comes the Band, All Over Town, and The Werewolf of Washington. Maroney Olson plays the Magic Mirror, and he's best known for Notorious, Mildred Pierce, Lone Star, and At Sword's Point. Stuart Buchanan plays the Huntsman, and he's best known for Super Speed. In June of 1934, Disney announced he would be making his first feature film. He claimed it would take $250,000 to make, and it would be the first cel-animated feature film ever. Roy tried to talk him out of it. Many called it Disney's folly because it wasn't being made fast enough. He had to mortgage his house in order to finance the film. It ended up costing $1.4 million. The Dwarfs were discussed a lot, considering to be the best option for gags. Their names were drawn from about 50 potentials. The Dwarfs became such a big focus that Disney worried that it was ruining the plausibility of the rest of the characters, so many dwarf scenes were cut, including some that were fully animated. Some of these scenes include Snow White teaching them to eat like gentlemen, Grumpy and Doc arguing about Snow White, the lodge meeting scene, and the bed building scene. Disney originally planned to poison Snow White with the comb, kidnap the prince, and let the queen not die. Animators took classes at the studio about human and animal anatomy, and many animators were against rotoscoping, which is the tracing of live action footage. This is the first film ever to have a soundtrack album. Disney encouraged his staff to watch various films for inspiration, including 1936's Romeo and Juliet, 1922's Nosferatu, 1919's The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and 1931's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The film premiered at Carthy Circle Theater and received a standing ovation. Judy Garland was in the audience, and it appeared on Time magazine 6 days later. The film grossed $8 million, the highest grossing sound film at the time, and its lifetime gross is $418 million. Adjusted for inflation, it is the most earning movie of all time. It is on the AFI Top 100 and has had many home releases, as well as video games, Broadway musicals, theme parks, so many things based off of it, and it is at a canceled prequel, which was going to talk about how the dwarves came to be, or how the queen killed Snow White's dad, and then it became about how Dopey lost his voice, and then it was canceled. There has also been 2 live-action adaptations announced. One called Red Rose, which talks and goes along with Snow White's sister. The second being a live-action version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Lucille Laverne took out her teeth in order to play the witch. Disney Studios in Burbank was built off the money from this movie. There's a hidden Mickey, I believe. I didn't see it. I will go back and check. If I find it, I'll put it here. Behind the witch as she goes down to the basement in the stones. Apparently there is a hidden Mickey, and when this film won the Academy Award, they were given a regular size statue and 7 smaller ones. In the original video I made for this movie, link in the description, I discuss how the movie is fun, doesn't really have a cause and effect story, and not much happens to Snow White for about an hour of the film. All of those things still hold pretty true, but I have some new notes. The music is stunning. The opening overture is so beautiful, such a beautiful mix of all the songs that are going to be sung in the movie. I never noticed it before, probably because I didn't care about the opening credits, but I paid attention to the music this time, and it was so beautiful. The movie starts with a bang. She meets the prince, then she's gonna be killed, then she's gotta go find, like, a new place to live. And then it's like pure fun. Her and the dwarves, that's all cute. Her and the animals, that's all cute. And then bang, back at it again with the witch and her dying and the prince finding her. It's like, there's this little like, oh, this is pure fun. And then bang, bang, like, the scene where she runs through the woods really scared away from the huntsman is actually horrifying, and I never remember it. The dwarfs keep saying, oh, Jiminy Cricket, or oh, Jiminy Crickets. Like, was that a saying and then they created the character? Was it a character before Snow White and they had them saying it in the movie and then it became a character? Or was it a saying and they created a character based off the saying? I don't know, and now I'm curious. I'm gonna go look it up. Maybe you should too. Let's look it up together. Necrophilia aside, the prince isn't that bad. At the beginning, he runs into Snow White and is like, oh, hey, I think you're really pretty. She runs away all shy and stuff, and then she's like, oh, wait, hey. And he's like, oh, hey. And she's like, I think I like you a little bit, hey. And he's like, oh, I like you too for sure. And then like she's like, okay, I'm gonna go inside. And he's like, okay, I'll leave. And then he never sees her again until he finds her in the glass casket. And then he has a necrophilia moment, which is in the original fairy tale, so maybe we'll just skip over that for a sec. But then he's a really cool dude because he's like, gets Snow White up in the horse and you think they're just gonna leave, but no, he like holds up all the dwarves so she can say goodbye to them, which is just like the sweetest little thing. Like he's like, here, say goodbye to your little buddies. They're awesome. And I really like that. But he's still a necrophiliac, so like, all in all, Snow White is iconic. This time I watched it, I really felt grandiose. I really felt like the history and the reason why it's such a big deal this time I was watching it. It also flew by this time I was watching it. I don't know why. I thought it was boring before. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll think it's boring again. I don't know. But it started with a bang, ended with a bang. There was a little bit of fun in the middle. I really cared about Grumpy being all like hard but soft. It was very cute. Very cute. I also was just like watching it with a fun new eye. I feel like, I don't know. It was a good time. It's been like 2 years since I watched it, so I had a good time. Do I rate it? Should I rate it? Was I rating these movies back then? Should I rate them if I've already like done it? I don't know, 7 dwarfs out of 7. Haha, gotcha. And its original movie count was 1. I'm not gonna count it again, that's silly. So, its original movie count was 1. Let me know if you liked it. The next rewatch episode will be in 2 Wednesdays. Not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, because the rewatch series is every other Wednesday. You follow me? Cool. Glad you're following me. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter if you want to find out what movie I'm watching when, because I put out videos every Monday and Friday, and now every other Wednesday, possibly every other Wednesday if I do vlogging. We'll see. Until next time, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'm in charge of you are, so you do, and don't be Queen Grimhilda about it. Grimhilda? Hi, okay, I'm gonna have bloopers here in a couple seconds because there are a ton of bloopers from this, because when I was reading Snow White Grimm Fairy Tale bullet points, that was a fun time, and I definitely have a lot of bloopers from that. But I did want to explain this rewatch series thing a little bit more in depth if you're not totally getting it. Every other Wednesday, I will be posting a rewatch video up until August. Basically, it's going to be all of the animated classics. So like Snow White, Pinocchio, Dumbo, Sleeping Beauty, Alice in Wonderland, etc., Fantasia, you know, Jungle Book, all the ones I didn't do justice to and I feel like deserve me to do justice to them, because I didn't cover them the way I cover movies now. And then August will be our celebration month, and then after our celebration month, I will take requests about movies you potentially want me to rewatch that I didn't cover the way I cover movies now. I will not rewatch a film I have covered the way I cover movies now. So like, you know, if you're like, hey, rewatch Something Wicked This Way Comes, I'm not going to do that. I already covered it the way in depth I do now, but if you said, hey, could you cover Swiss Family Robinson, I would do it because I didn't cover it the way I covered it now, and I would be happy to cover it the way I cover it now if you guys wanted, you know, that kind of movie or whatever. And then after August, if I don't have requests, the every other Wednesday will become like watching movies or posting about movies that I couldn't find, that I have found, because there are a few I have found. Not many, but there are a few that I've found, and I'm excited to do a new video for them, so it can be a little bit more in-depth as well. So that's kind of what the rewatch series is. I know it's a little bit confusing, and now I will show some bloopers, because... And once Snow White is old enough... I hope it works. Snow White discovers the dwarves. Excuse you, fan. Excuse you. Excuse you. Excuse you. Snow White discovers the dwarves. Snow White as long as it's a prayer. The queen discovers Snow White is alive. 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 Lace bodices that are so tight it causes Snow White to faint, but the dwarves, frick, I always did it was so good. Okay, and the casket falls, and a large piece of apple is shoved. Forced? Dislodged. Flies? The magic mirror says the fairest... The magic mirror. The magic mirror says the fairest one of all... The magic mirror. Jesus. When the prince orders her to dance in red hot iron slippers until she dies. Okay. The magic... Okay. This is... In case a lot of you the film. Come on, I need to do it. Both uncredited roles. 11 people. That took me forever, in case anyone's wondering.